and welcome back to the Scale Modelling Cafe and this week's update. Lots to talk about, so let's crack on. Channel update, part 1 of the Eduard 109F in 72nd scale went up last week. That is dealing with, just to talk through the project really, the aim of the project, a short list of some of the marking options that I wanted to do. Plot spoiler, I didn't do any of the two that I mentioned, but I did leave it open, so you know, I didn't really contradict myself. And I talked through some of the aftermarket bits and pieces. So that went up last week, and the cockpit video, I edited that today. I'm going to do the voiceover tomorrow, and that'll go up on Sunday. I did a couple of chat videos. One went out last week. That was my continuing my favourite models series, filmed back at home. When I looked in the cabinet, I wanted to do. I looked at the Armour Wildcat and said, "Oh, that's one of my favourites." And then I looked at the Key 84 Hyate next to it and went, "That's also one of my favourites." And then I looked at the Hurricanes behind and thought, "Well, let's do something a little bit different." And let's just talk about armour and the armour kits that I've built so far. So that's gone up. And talking of armour kits, especially Hurricanes, my 48th scale 2C is in the post. It's been sent to a mate of mine who's gone home on leave for a couple of weeks, and he's going to bring that back out with him. And I'm very excited about that. I bought a few other bits and pieces for it. I'm going to spray the markings, and I bought some master barrels for the cannon barrels. Obviously a very distinctive feature of the 2C, and I'm sure they are superb in plastic, but nothing beats master barrels, does it? So I plunked for that. Other than that, it's going to be from the box. Right, I just mentioned part 2, the cockpit of the 109. That's going to go out, as I said, on Sunday. And there is another talk, like a chat video, going to go out next week. And it's on the subject of Eduard decals. Possibly a bit of a controversial subject, because obviously a lot of people are very vehement in their hatred, and I don't use that word lightly, hatred of Eduard decals. I thought I'd throw in my 2 penneth worth, having just used some of their decals on the 109. So I'm sure that'll kick off a lively discussion. So go and check that one out. Right, on to the project update then. And it's this bad boy up here, the clear Prop H75-N, which, if you don't know, is essentially a P36 with fixed undercarriage to make it a little bit cheaper for the export market. And I'm going to do a Taiwan, and as you can see here, the airframe is almost done. A few points about this kit. The cockpit is utterly amazing. If you've seen my Key 51 Sonia build in 144, the cockpit on that was astonishing, and that's 144, so you can imagine what a 48th scale cockpit is. It's absolutely beautiful. I did dress it up with some airscale placards. No real references, I just kind of made it up. US fighters tend to have a lot of placards in their cockpit, so that adds an extra layer of interest. And I replaced the instrument panel with a colour photo etch set from Eduard again, from a P40B, because it's almost the same. And it looks great in there, but actually the kit one, where they have so there is a plastic instrument panel in there with all the dials and all the detail on it, but there's also a blank one that you can stick the photo etch to, which I used in here. But they also provide a decal and a photo etch panel. So you paint the instrument panel black, you apply the decal, and then you pre-paint the instrument panel photo etch bit, and then bung that over the top. And I actually did that to see how it would come out, and it looked brilliant. I was going to use it, but unfortunately I did get the decal slightly off center, which was a bit of a pain in the bum actually. But anyway, no drama, I used that. Now, quite a lot of people, when they're painting an instrument panel, will paint the instrument panel, say, black, and then dry brush maybe a sort of a mid-grey tone over the top, or even a dark grey tone, which highlights the detail. And yes, it does. But I think it looks a bit weird because it's contrast invert. So what I did on the panel that I didn't end up using is I painted the instrument panel a dark grey, and then I dry brushed it in black, and it looks a million times better. So that's a recommendation from me. Take it or leave it if you wish, but I do think you get a far superior and far more realistic result if you're going to do that. The other bit of aftermarket I used in here was I did use the seat belts from the pre-painted set. You do get photo etch seat belts in copper, actually, bit of a throwback to the Linden days. But I just thought that they would look better, the pre-painted ones. So I did use that. Unfortunately, what I did do is there's a kind of thing across the back, and I think the seat harness is supposed to go over that. I actually did it over the back of the seat, which is a bit of a shame, but never mind. I see the airframes together. So before I went away to work last time, because we were on the 4-day shift this time, is I glued the wings together and the fuselage halves together with liquid cement and not super glue this time. So they had a good sort of 5 days to thoroughly go off and gas off and harden up. And I sanded that down today. What's really neat about the design of this kit is the cockpit is designed to be inserted from below afterwards. So you can deal with all the seams, get all the sanding residue gone, run under the tap, and then when it's dry, bung in the cockpit from underneath, and that sets the width as well of the cockpit. And then what I did is I just put the wings onto the fuselage after that, and the fit was utterly astonishing. The fit of the fuselage halves were great, the wings were great. Actually, at the trailing edge, there was a bit of a gap at the trailing edge, so rather than moulding it to touch like that, even though I sanded down the inside and tried to sort the angle out, there was a bit of a sort of gap, if you can see that, like that. So I filled it with stretch sprue, and then I just sanded it all flush. So I've got nice sharp trailing edges. In fact, that feels a little bit rough there. I might just run a sanding stick over that just to sharpen that up. I was so impressed with the wing to fuselage joint. There were no gaps at all, and the seam at the back, it kind of runs along the back of the fillet there, was almost imperceptible. I did use a bead of super glue over the top and then rub that down just to eliminate that seam. It's not that there was a gap there, far from it. It was just the tiniest hairline, but it will completely eliminate it if you do that. Mr. Surfacer would have been just literally one bit of Mr. Surfacer 500, and that would have taken care of it as well. Tail wheel insert is Tamiya-esque, and the tail plane's fitted really nicely, but I did have a bit of a gap, just a tiny one, 1/4 mil, just on the right hand tail plane on the upper surface. So I just put a bit of tape to protect the rivet, a little bit of Deluxe Perfect Plastic Putty, and then left that for about an hour, and then a wet cotton bud over the top, dealt with that. I did seal it in with a bit of Mr. Surfacer because that can be a little bit porous. The elevators and the ailerons are not glued. They just click into place. So beautiful. You can see I've not put the rudder on because the version I'm doing is going to have a stripy rudder. So I'm going to paint those on. So that's why that's separate. The upper decking here is, that's a really nice fit. That's a one-piece thing. So there's no seam down the middle on the nose, which is really nice. But there is a corresponding one on the underside. And actually, that was the worst fitting part of the kit. There were massive gaps there. Maybe something to do with the engine mounting, and I put that in wrong. That's actually a resin piece, which is part of the resin exhaust set, which is Clearprop's own aftermarket, if you like. So I'm just wondering if I've done something a little bit wrong there. I did remove a little bit too much material, trying to get it to fit. That did minimise the gaps, but I did use super glue and talc filler just for speed and rubbed it all down. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be a panel line on there. I should see if I can check some references, and if there is, I'll just restore that. Not a problem. The wheel spats fitted great. What was a bit weird about the wheel spats is the wheel has just one pin on one side, not both sides, and there's the female hole again on just one side. So I had sanded a flat in the two-piece tyres, and they're in there, and I did do it so they do rotate, but it was a bit odd that you don't get a pin on the other side, which is a bit odd. But anyway, there we are. The wheel spats fitted great. The halves fitted great together. They were glued together with super glue, but there is a bit of a gap between the wheel spat and the sort of wing fairing, which is a bit odd because everything else looks amazing. It's almost like, because you do get two inserts that go in the hole on the underside of the wing, and then the wheel spat does glue onto that insert. It's almost like you shouldn't glue those in, and you should glue the wheel spats directly in the hole, but they are too narrow. So that's a bit strange, that. But I've put a load of Mr. Perfect plastic putty over the top. I shall let that go off overnight, and then I shall sand all that. There's a hairline gap on the right hand one. I'll just use a wet cotton bud for that. And I'll sort that out. So we're almost, well, this will be going into paint tomorrow. I've got the rear decking clear parts to put on. I've got the windscreen to put on. And I've got the cowling to make up. The engine, I've painted the cylinders and the reduction housing thing. The collector ring thing, that's probably not the right term, where the ignition wires come out of, that's in two parts. That's been put on. So the next job is I'm going to do the ignition harness. Now, they do mould the sort of where the wiring comes out of that sort of circular thing, but that is solid. So I've drilled out the front of the cylinders. What I'm probably going to do is just put the wiring in, paint it, and then maybe try and butt joint it onto the sort of sticky out bit. That's going to be a little bit fiddly, I think, especially because all my super glue's gone off. Now out here, super glue ages really quickly to do with the heat. Obviously I have the aircon on all the time anyway, but yeah, it doesn't really last very long at all, so it is losing its stick. So I think tomorrow is going to be quite a frustrating day, actually. We'll see how that goes. But the design of this thing is you build the cowling around the engine. I want to see, I'd love it if I could build the cowling up and then stick it over the top, which would make painting easier, but I don't think that's going to work. Anyway, that's a job for tomorrow. So that's really come on nicely. That'll be painted, finished painting tomorrow. I'm going to paint the markings on that as well. Have a go at that. That is the project update. Right, news. Some really exciting news that's come out. First of all, some aftermarket though. Res kit, 1/72 scale F111 cockpit for the Hasegawa kit. Now, Drew says that is one of his favourite kits of all time. He absolutely adores that kit, and Hobby 2000 released it not that long ago, and it's still available. I am severely tempted by that after what Drew said, and to bung a res kit cockpit in, well, that's going to be really lovely. So that's cool. Kit wise, Mini Arts P47. I think it's a D25. Can't quite remember. Definitely a D bubble top anyway. They've released some CAD renderings. I'll bung some of them up here. Now I looked at that and thought, yeah, Mini Art, whatever. P47, nice, but not really massively exciting. However, having seen the CAD renderings and the rivets, now as you know I'm a big fan of riveting, I'm going to get that kit. I really am. I understand there's going to be a few boxings, like a super detailed one and then a less detailed one. I'm going to go for the less detailed one because I'm lazy and I can't be arsed doing all the detail, frankly. But that looks utterly astonishing, some of those CAD renderings. So no idea when it's coming out, but the box arts, they've released that as well. So I'm wondering how close we are to that. Fine Moulds, 1/72 scale F15. Kel Surprise, they're doing the J first. That is imminent. There's some photos of the built-up model, and I'm assuming that's either a test shot or one of the early production kits. That looks really good. Now I know it's got a sort of over-engineered way of going about things like the F4s. Drew, again, he doesn't like the F4 kits. He just over-engineered and it's a lot of fudge. So I love the Phantom and I love 72nd scale, but I've not bought one because it just looks unnecessarily complicated to me. And the F15 is possibly the same. But anyway, that is imminent. Right, on to Eduard news. So I mentioned last week that Eduard, in their newsletter, had said that they were LiDARing, if that's a word, some P40s in America because they've been over to the Merkin Telford, and that the design is really very far advanced. So I speculated that we would see the P40 series starting next year. Well, one of my viewers, sorry mate, you didn't give your name, just a YouTube handle thing, which I really don't like. So if you tell me your name, I'll give you a shout out. So thank you very, very much for the gouge. So the Eduard kind of release schedule. So we know that next month the 109K is coming out, the K4. I'm going to hang on. I'm not going to get the Profi pack. They're not doing the dual boxing. It's just a single set of sprues coming out. But a gazillion different colour schemes. I'm going to hang on. I'm going to get the Overtrees for that. And I'm going to hang on maybe until later on in the year. Because by the end of the year, the A6M50 is due out. And I really like the A6M5. I built the Tamiya kit and it's beautiful. The Eduard kit is going to be even more beautifuler. And yeah, I just think it's the best looking Zero because it, you know, that streamlined cowling and all that blah. So I'm definitely going to get one of those. And again, I shall probably get the Overtree. So if I just wait and hang on, I shall mixy blob an order and I will get a few Overtrees. Right. Now, the P51B Mustang is going to come out next summer. It's a little bit vague, I know, but I know a lot of people are really looking forward to that. I'm not actually. I'm not such a massive fan of the Razorback Mustang. Having said that, Drew, again, another mensch, he said that there was they were going cheap for about a tenner on Amazon, so I got one, the Armour Hobby one in 72nd, and that looks like an amazing kit. So the so the Eduard B is due in the middle of 2024, and the P40 is going to come out after that. Eduard have said that they're going to do the K. Now, there was some speculation that maybe they wouldn't do the K because it was quite a small production run. That's the one with the big fat tail, and it looks a bit dumpy and weird. I'm wondering if that's going to be the initial release, because it's likely to be the least popular of the Allison engine, I said Mustang then, Allison engine P40s. We're definitely going to see an E, we're definitely going to see an N, which means we'll probably see an M. And we know we're going to see a B/C. So exactly when we're going to see the first P40 and what model it is, we don't know, but it's not going to be before the summer. I speculated it might be the spring. So Q3 next year. No doubt we'll have more, stand by for a HQ word, granularity when they do their 2024 announcements, Christmas time, New Year, whenever that's going to be. But exciting, exciting times for Eduard. There we are. That's the end of the news and the end of the video pretty much. So look out for the cockpit video of the Eduard 1/72 scale 109F coming this Sunday. Look out also for my chat on Eduard decals. I'm sure that'll kick off a discussion, as I said earlier. And yeah, I'm going to crack on with this beautiful, beautiful Curtis Hawk. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.